Your Honor, we're live on YouTube streaming.
Thank you very much. Let's give it another couple of minutes before we go on the record to let a few stragglers come in.
Understood. Thank you. Welcome to the public statement hearing for Garnet Energy LLC 20F0043. Good afternoon, everyone. Please note all attendees' lines are muted upon entry. If you're calling in, you might not be able to see the screen, so I'm going to read it to you. There is a 1-800 number that you can call. It's 1-800-342-3330 if you are having technical difficulty with getting into today's meeting. One of our representatives will get back to you after you leave a message. Thank you.
Mr. McLean, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Let's go on the record.
We are on the record.
I call case 20F0043, application of Garnet Energy Center LLC for a certificate of environmental compatibility and public need pursuant to Article 10 to construct and operate a solar generating facility and energy storage system in the town of Conquest, Cayuga County. Good afternoon and welcome. We're here today for a public statement hearing that was noticed on January 12th, 2022. This public statement hearing concerns an application by Garnet Energy Center for a certificate allowing it to construct a 200 megawatt solar energy facility with a 20 megawatt and 4-hour energy storage system on approximately 1,900 acres in the town of Conquest, Cayuga County. The project components include approximately 1,200 to 1,400 acres of solar arrays, access rows, electric collection lines, a collection substation, and a switchyard with connections to an adjacent New York Power Authority 345 kilovolt transmission line. The public statement hearings to be held today, now and later at 6 p.m., are intended for comments on this proposed project. My name is Greg Sayer. I am an administrative law judge for the Department of Public Service. I'm one of 3 administrative law judges who are serving as hearing examiners in this case. Also with me on the call are Administrative Law Judge Maureen Leary of the Department of Public Service and Administrative Law Judge Michelle Stefanucci of the Department of Environmental Conservation. We 3 examiners are responsible for presiding over the hearings in this case and the development of a complete record in these proceedings. Garnet Energy's application is currently before the New York State Board on Electric Generation Siting and the Environment. The Siting Board may approve or reject or modify Garnet Energy's application. Now I'll explain the process that we're going to follow today. The purpose of our hearing is to provide you with an opportunity to tell the Siting Board and the examiners your thoughts on the proposed project. The statements you make today will become part of the case record. We have a court reporter joining us who will prepare a transcript of the hearing, and the webcast will also be archived and available for public viewing. The transcript will be included in the official record of this proceeding, so your comments can be considered by members of the Siting Board as well as the hearing examiners. When it is ready, the transcript will be available for view on the Department of Public Service website. This hearing is not an evidentiary hearing with cross-examination or a question and answer session. It's a forum to hear comments from you. This is not the only opportunity for comment. If you did not pre-register to speak at today's hearing or this evening's hearing, but you would like your views included in the record. There are a variety of other ways to comment that were listed in the public notice for today's event. If you could move on to that slide, please. Other ways to comment. For those of you with computer access, we're showing a slide with the other ways to comment, and all of the details are in the January 12th public notice for today's event. You can make comments by submitting them on the Department of Public Service website, or by email, or by regular mail, or even by telephone. Regardless of how the comments are submitted, they will be given equal consideration. Comments may be submitted and will be considered throughout the pendency of this proceeding, but we are requesting that you make your comments by May 1st in order for them to be fully considered. If you have pre-registered to make a statement, we will ask that you please summarize lengthy statements orally and submit the full written statement by email or mail. I think we have few enough people registered to speak that I'm not going to impose a maximum time frame for people to speak, but we ask that you be cognizant that there are other people waiting to speak after you. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we're holding these public statement hearings virtually. Normally, if this were an in-person public statement hearing, people would be allowed to sign up to make statements as they come into the hearing room and as long as the hearing is going on. In this hearing, we cannot easily identify people as they get on the line to listen to the hearing. So as a result, as stated in the notice of this public statement hearing, we've asked people to pre-register if they wish to make a public statement at today's hearing. Like the cards that would be used to identify speakers in a face-to-face hearing, the pre-registration process allows us to identify people who indicated that they want to make a comment. There are people who signed up and are participating electronically, and there are people who signed up and are participating by phone. We'll get to you all. If you are going to speak, please make sure you're using only one audio input, only one microphone, only one telephone, and one audio output at your end. Otherwise, we may experience problems with feedback when you're speaking. I will first call the persons who have timely pre-registered electronically, one by one, to speak. We'll then call those people who pre-registered by phone. For the people who registered electronically, after we call your name, we will unmute your line, and Joseph White from our Consumer Services Office will let you know that you're unmuted. Please remember that if you have put your own telephone line or your computer on mute, you will also have to unmute your line at your end before you begin to speak. Please speak slowly and clearly so that the court reporter can accurately capture your statement for the record. And as you begin, please state your name, spell your name for the record, and any group that you are representing in this hearing. Let's move on to the speakers. Our first speaker is Stephen Wright. Mr. White, can you unmute him? Mr. Wright, are you here?
Is it, so it is STEV. Okay, I did check. See again. If you've called in, you can hit *3 on your telephone, and it'll raise your hand, and then I'll be able to find you that way. I don't seem to see that person, Your Honor.
Okay, let's move to the second. I'm actually having trouble reading the spreadsheet. Mr. White, who do you have on number 2 for
so
electronic?
it would be Dorothy and Ma Siegel. Ma Siegel. Dorothy. Yeah, that's who I have is Dorothy, but I don't see a Dorothy. If you called in, can you please raise your hand? You hit *3 on your phone. Can we go to that slide, please, Sangeeta? Or you can, there we go. Raise your hand if you're on the computer. Called under a different name. We have quite a few call-in folks. Again, folks, if you've called in and you are registered to speak and I call your name or the judge calls your name, we will ask you to raise your hand by hitting *3 on your phone. Thank you. Let's try, I'll try the next person, Your Honor.
Okay, Maureen Doyle.
Yes. And we do have Maureen on. Maureen, your line has been unmuted. You can go ahead.
Okay, Maureen Doyle, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, administrative law judges. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few of my concerns. I have to give my name, sorry. So it's Maureen, M-A-U-R-E-E-N. Last name is Doyle, D-O-Y-L-E. During construction stages of industrial-sized solar facilities, higher levels of air and noise pollution will have a negative effect on the flora and fauna. Wildlife have no options like earplugs or closing windows. Most animals have adapted to the natural noises of their environment. However, the new noises of construction alone can cause a range of problems, including but not limited to affect an animal's ability to hear or make it difficult for it to find food, locate mates, and avoid predators, impair their ability to navigate, communicate, reproduce, and participate in normal behaviors. Interest in the way sound affects wildlife has intensified over the last decade as more and more studies begin to explore how these changes in behavior could have flow-on effects for not only individual animals and their populations, but for whole ecosystems. After construction is complete, there will be different changes in noise. Important wildlife habitat and migration corridors will be altered with fences and landscape, permanently altering the gene flow for animals as well as plant populations. Wildlife families will be split. Because of the race to erect large-scale facilities, surveys are being rushed and are sometimes limited in numbers. Residents witness endangered and protected species all year long. 1 or 2 surveys is not sufficient to show the presence of endangered and/or protected species. Clearing land for construction means beaver will lose sticks and leaves they use to build their dams. Beaver predators, wolf, coyotes, fox will lose beaver as a source of food. Soils get compacted, natural drainage ditches altered. Herbicides will kill everything, every living plant in its range. I'm not opposed to solar. I am opposed to industrial solar on farmland. Siting industrial solar facilities on farmland is terribly damaging today and into the future. Siting these facilities in locations such as brownfields, abandoned mining land, or existing transportation corridors is a great way to use otherwise unusable land. Fauna cannot prepare their own food, so they depend on the flora for their food. How much farmland will be destroyed before we realize the damage industrial solar is doing to farmland, fauna, and flora? If renewables are so great for the environment, why do they keep destroying the environment? Thank you very much, Maureen Doyle.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Edward Primrose.
Go ahead, Mr. Primrose. You've been unmuted.
Thank you for the opportunity for me to speak today. My name is Edward Primrose, E-D-W-A-R-D, P-R-I-M-R-O-S-E. I am involved in the Garnet Energy Center as a landowner. I am also a farmer and appreciate the care of and understanding of the agricultural community from NextEra and all of their representatives and contractors. They have been very easy to work with from an agricultural perspective and respectful of the land and crops. The decision to participate in a solar project on land I have worked and improved my entire life was difficult, but in the end, the right decision for my family. It is unfortunate that some members of the community seem to feel that my rights as a property owner are not as important as their desire to tell me how to use my property. In the end, this project will provide renewable energy for an extended period of time while ensuring at the end the land will be returned to its original condition for use again in agriculture. The land will not be converted to residential parcels, as some farms in the area have been, to never again be farmed. It is easy to enjoy the view of someone else's property and complain when they make a choice for its use that you don't like. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Joseph Verdi.
Go ahead, Joseph 30. You've been unmuted. Thank you. You might be muted on your end. Joseph, you might be muted on your end.
Now, Mr. Verdi, we do see you here as participating. Is it possible that you've got your phone or your computer on mute? Okay, we cannot hear you. We'll come back to you a little later. Our next speaker is Elizabeth Klusansky, and my apologies if I have mangled your name.
You've been unmuted.
Are you there?
We are here. You've been unmuted.
Yep.
Okay, I'm Elizabeth Klusansky, Elizabeth, Kluczynski. And I live in the town of Conquest, and I have concerns with the solar project to the size and scope of it. I have farm animals, pets, myself. I'm concerned with health issues that can arise down the road. No one really knows, as these are all newer things. I'm also concerned with the devaluation of our property. I don't know who is going to compensate us for us losing value of our homes, places that we've worked for, hard worked for all our lives. Next, I have an issue with the water runoff off of these things. What will it do to our water index, our wells? So I don't know. I'm just very concerned. And the glare that's going to come from these things, if I sit on my front porch, I'm going to have the glare right back into my face to where I won't be able to enjoy what's left of my life. I thank you all for your time, your consideration, and I pray for an outcome we all can live with. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Joe Bilowitz.
If Joe's called in, please hit *3 on your phone and it'll raise your hand. Then we can unmute you. If not, Your Honor, the next speaker will be Charlie Randall, and Charlie is available.
Okay. Mr. Randall, please go ahead.
Go ahead, Charlie. Mr. Randall, thank you.
My name is Charlie Randall, CharlieRandall. I live right here in Conquest. I am the membership development representative from the IBEW, which stands for International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, for local Union 840, which covers the Conquest area. This solar project would be a great boost to training our new members from the area in the electrical field at a prevailing wage scale. It would give males, females, young and older people alike a great paying job, along with training in the solar area, which is a growing industry. Once this project is complete, it will employ a handful of people to maintain the facility. Garnet Energy Project by NextAir Energy is estimated to be a year-long project with about 100 people working on this job. This project will also bring more revenue to the tax base and should lower or keep the taxes from going up for the foreseeable future. More revenue means a lot to a small community like Conquest and the Port Byron and Cato school districts. This project would also bring business to the area as people need to eat, gas, and so on. I would like to thank the board for letting me speak and hope they vote in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Our next speaker is Peggy Lilly.
Hello? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you.
My name is Peggy Lilly. It's spelled P-E-G-G-Y-L-I-L-L-I-E. I'd like to begin by saying I'm opposed to the Garnet Energy Center project. Currently a member of the Rural Preservation and Net Conservation Benefit Coalition. We are beginning to see several very large industrial solar facilities being proposed in our small rural communities like ours. Once built, these massive solar facilities will destroy the very rural charm that attracted us to these small towns. Our beautiful rural landscapes will turn into massive eyesores. I request a hold on this and all industrial solar application approvals until the state can develop clear guidelines for these facilities that will protect our small communities from being destroyed. My home address is 10519 Spookwoods Road, Port Byron, New York. My property is adjacent to one of the large farmers who decided to lease to NextEra for Garnet Energy Center. Two huge concerns I have are minimum setbacks and visual impacts. My property will be bounded on two sides by solar arrays. NextEra has stated in Article 10 application they would have a 100-foot minimum setback to all non-participating landowner property lines. NextEra has not honored that for my property. See Civil Plan C.310. There are at least 6 other properties where NextEra has not honored the 100-foot property line setback. See Civil Plan C.301, C.302, C.303, C.304, C.310, C.318, C.319. Minimum setbacks Garnet has proposed in the Article 10 application are not acceptable given the current land uses are primarily agricultural and rural residential. The residents who live in the town of Conquest do so to live in a rural setting with beautiful country views. We sacrifice the conveniences of living in a more urban environment for the beautiful country setting that we treasure every single day. For the adjacent landowners, the beautiful country setting is now in jeopardy because of the Garnet Energy Center. In an effort to save some sort of country feel for adjacent landowners, the setbacks need to be doubled to 100 foot from roadsides, 200 foot from property lines, and 500 foot from residences. Another consequence is the setbacks of only 100 foot from non-participating landowners' property lines makes selling off building lots very unlikely. Not be able to sell building lots on the property line decreases the value of our land. In addition to increasing the setbacks, the visual screening needs to be reevaluated. As I previously stated, my property is bounded on two sides by solar arrays. My beautiful country view will be replaced with a front row seat to Garnet Energy Center. I will have a direct view of a huge field of solar arrays. My property is their solar arrays do not show up on landscape plans in NextEra's Article 10 application. NextEra is proposing absolutely no visual screening, none. On May 17, 2021, I attended a meeting at the Town Municipal Building. I wanted to hear what Chris Gornavaca from NextEra Energy was planning to present to the town board and the residents attending. I asked Mr. Skornavaca to explain why my property did not show up on the map of the project they had provided to the town showing the project area. Mr. Skornavaca asked me to contact him directly and he would work with me on my situation. To date, I've only heard from Mr. Skornavaca once. Since I emailed him back on August 25th, 2021, Mr. Skornavaca replied to me on August 29th, 2021, saying he would be out of town. Mr. Skornavaca assured me he had a team looking into my issue and that he would be back with me in contact on Friday of the next week. After waiting patiently for a reply and getting no reply, I emailed Mr. Skornavaca back one more time, asking him how his team was coming along with my question. I asked if they were planning on the visual screening for the south side of my home along the project area. The latest plan submitted on January 11th of this year show that they are still not planning visual screening next to my home. NextEra is installing visual screening along 3 sides of my neighbor, who will also be looking at up to 103 acres of panels, but not for my property. I have other neighbors who will have unobstructed views of the solar arrays as well. I don't think NextEra is working in good faith with me or my neighbors to resolve our issues. My property value will be greatly reduced and may not be saleable. This is totally unacceptable to me. Panels that could be up to 18 feet tall, we think NextEra should, in good faith, provide visual screening to all residents affected by this project. I am happy to provide the emails to Mr. Skornavaca if needed. Despite the applicant stating that the majority of the project is not anticipated to be visible from the nearby roadside, the fact is that a large portion of the project will not only be clearly visible from the roadsides, but by several dozen nearby adjacent landowners as well. This is not acceptable. Clearly, the adjacent landowners will suffer direct negative consequences from this facility with inadequate setbacks and visual mitigation. Due to the size of this facility, New York State has taken total control approval process for this industrial solar facility. The New York State Board on Electric Generation Siting and Environment has an obligation to work with adjacent property owners to help eliminate or at the very least minimize the negative impacts we are facing. Please help us save the country lifestyle that we enjoy. Our life and our community is at stake. Thank you for your time to listen.
Judge
And
Sayre.
thank you for your comments.
Judge Sayre.
Yes.
This is Judge Leary. I need a point of clarification from Miss Lily. So, Mr. White, if you could unmute her again.
Miss Lily, we missed the very end of your statement, if you wouldn't mind. Is that what you're looking for, Judge?
No, but
I apologize.
No, but that's a good idea as well. So, Miss Lily, are you back on the line? Because we missed the last part of your statement, and I also have a question, a clarification I need.
Okay, I was thanking you for your time to listen to my concerns today.
Okay, the clarification I was going to ask you about is that you cited a couple of sections, and I missed what what the document was that you were citing. So you went from C3, C.310, C.301. What is that document?
The civil plans.
I'm sorry?
Civil plans.
I'm actually not hearing you. Can you give me that again? Civil plans, are you saying?
The civil plans, yes, ma'am.
CIVIL?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. They're part of the application?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you go ahead and give the last 2 sentences of your response approximately? I think that's how much we missed.
Please help us save our country lifestyle that we enjoy. Our life in our community is at stake. And thank you for your time to listen to my concerns today.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your comments and your clarification. Our next speaker is Brian Wilson.
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
Yes, you've been unmuted, sir. Thank you.
Great. Yep, thank you. I am Brian Wilson, Brian Wilson. No relation to the Beach Boy. I am from a neighboring Oswego County, and my concern with the facility is more of a concern in general. I would oppose this facility in so much as I oppose basically any solar or wind facility in upstate New York, mainly for two reasons. First off, just the land use of any solar facility anywhere in upstate does not make sense. There are great comments on this project online showing the farmlands, the wetlands, the wildlife over the 2,000-acre proposed site. These 2,000 acres have a nameplate capacity of 200 megawatts. Meanwhile, in neighboring Oswego County, for reference, the 900 acres of nuclear power plants, 9 Mile and Fitzpatrick, have a nameplate capacity of 2,800-ish megawatts. And this is nameplate capacity. We're having a snowstorm today. Those solar panels will be covered with snow. We are the 5th snowiest metropolitan area on Earth. And the capacity factor will go way down. Meanwhile, the nuclear power plants would be able to chug along. In addition to that, the solar field, for as much land as it uses, will generate a handful of jobs. The nuclear power plants have bucket loads of jobs at 3,500 employees. I would really oppose this I would oppose this facility and in other work push for a much more reliable energy strategy that actually generates enough jobs and minimizes its impact on the land. Thank you all and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for your comments. Our next speaker is Brenda Bramble.
Hello.
You've been unmuted.
Hello, my name is Brenda
Yes,
Bramble.
you're on.
My name is Brenda Bramble. That's Brenda Bramble. Although I'm a member of the Conquest Against Industrial Solar Coalition, I am speaking on behalf of myself. My family and I have lived in the town of Conquest for the past 39 years, and we moved here specifically to raise our children in a small rural community. Besides being forced to live next to an enormous solar facility, I am very concerned about the huge vehicles, the safety issues, the noise pollution that the construction of this facility will bring to our tranquil community. First of all, our rural roads were not intended for huge construction vehicles such as cranes and earth movers. Secondly, the farming community travels our roads with tractors and other farm machinery in addition to normal traffic. And what safety measures will be put in place to prevent interference with our everyday traffic? Also, during construction, noise will be generated by backup vehicle motion alarms, bulldozers, dump trucks, chainsaws, and other machinery. Furthermore, the transformation of the land here won't be limited to the solar site alone. Big slices of land will be carved out to allow parking for workers' personal vehicles, construction vehicles, access and exit sites for those vehicles, as well as equipment drop-off sites. And will work be limited to daylight hours, or will it take place 24/7? Even after construction, I feel that this project will leave a huge permanent scar on our community, devalue my family and neighbors' property, and ruin the peaceful way of life we have enjoyed until now. Thank you for your time and for hearing my concerns.
And thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Eugene Moretti.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Eugene Moretti, Eugene, last name Moretti. I'm with the Rural Preservation and Net Conservation Benefit Coalition and also Conquest Against Industrial Solar. I thank the judges for the opportunity to comment on Garnet Energy's proposed 200 megawatt industrial solar facility in the heretofore rural town of Conquest, New York. As you know, This industrial solar facility will occupy 901.6 fenced-in acres, which includes 464.7 acres of prime farmland, or 6.5% of all the prime farmland in Conquest, and that is taken directly from the application. Among the many unanswered questions and points of contention in this proposal are issues as to the nature of specific components of the facility. To wit, at several points in the application, too many to list here, the developer states that they plan on utilizing fixed solar panel arrays, which reach a height of 11 feet from the ground. But the developer also states that the availability of types of arrays cannot be predicted at this point in time, so the developer may utilize tracking arrays, which reach a height of 18 feet. How can a qualitative evaluation possibly be rendered with that level of uncertainty? 901.6 acres of arrays 11 feet high, or will it be 901.6 acres of arrays 18 feet high? One or the other must be established before this project can possibly be approved. Incidentally, you will no doubt be receiving several comments today regarding visual impact. I think we need to keep in mind that any claims by the developer as to the effectiveness of visual impact mitigation must be taken with a huge grain of salt, given that the developer cannot even state with certainty how high the solar panels will rise above the ground. The developer has stated in the application their intention to utilize monocrystalline solar modules similar to the Jinko Eagle 72HM G2 380 to 400 watt mono PERC half cell. That's from Appendix 2-1. While all the numbers and letters may not mean much to the average layperson, what is meaningful to the average layperson is the risk of contamination of the ground and groundwater from damaged or leaking solar modules. The developer has addressed this at 2 different public information meetings that I have attended, insisting that the modules are sealed plastic containing no liquid contaminants that could possibly leak into the ground. However, these assurances do not take into consideration the use of polyfluoroalkyl, PFA, chemicals, which when applied to structures will make that structure repel both oil and water, and which may be present in anti-reflective coating and anti-soil coatings applied to solar panels, a common industry practice. Anti-reflective coatings on solar panels increase productivity by trapping specific bands of wavelengths inside the panels, thus generating additional electricity. Anti-soil coatings on panels create a non-stick surface which promotes water shedding, thus reducing the need for regular cleaning. PFA chemicals are known carcinogens. They are forever chemicals. They have been regulated by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, which has classified them as a hazardous substance. New York State has banned their use in food packaging, and the New York State Department of Health has set maximum contaminant levels in drinking water supplies. The issue, of course, is that the ARC and ASC coatings applied to the solar panels will degrade over time, exposed as they will be to the extremes in temperatures and humidity. When they do, the PFA chemicals will leach into the ground and eventually poison groundwater, private wells, and ultimately, they will make their way to Little Sodas Bay. The developer, Garnet Energy, must provide ironclad guarantees that none of their components will have ARC or ASC coatings containing PFAs or any other hazardous chemicals which could, over time, poison the land and water. How can they make such a guarantee is uncertain. As previously noted, at this late date, Garnet does not yet know even the type of solar panel module they plan to install on 901.6 acres, fixed or tracking. One assumes whichever is more available at construction time. Will the solar panels be manufactured in the United States and thus have material and data sheets detailing the contents of coatings used, or will they be from, say, China, which is the major supplier of solar panels and batteries, but for which accountability and transparency of the manufacturing process has been problematic at best? Some uncertainty regarding some of the minor details of this massive project are understandable, and they are to be expected. However, the potential use of hazardous materials at this scale cannot be considered a minor detail. There are far, far too many instances in the application where the developer states an intention to do something in a certain way, but then adds the caveat, quote, or to a reasonable extent practicable, end of quote. There is no reasonable extent practicable when it comes to the possible poisoning of an entire region. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments. We are now going to call out the people who registered by telephone and are presumably participating by telephone. When I call out your name, you will need to hit *3 on your telephone so that we can recognize you and unmute your line. It may take a little while for us to locate you and unmute your line. And again, if you have muted your own telephone, you will also have to unmute your line on your end. If you're having a technical problem making your statement, we are monitoring the 800 number used for calling in registrations, and we'll try and help with the problem. That number is in the notice of these hearings, and it is 800-342-3330. Again, 800-342-3330. At this time, I call Linda Daly. Please hit *3.
I don't see any raised hands, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll circle back.
Here she is. Here she is, Your Honor.
Is it? Okay, go. Please go ahead and make your statement.
Hello, this is Linda Daly from Cato. We own land in Conquest, and we turned down NextEra because we are considerate of our neighbors, and we are not greedy, and we'd like our farmland to be farmed. We believe in the aesthetic beautifulness of the farmland, and many people, when they purchase their land or their homes, it was because of the views. And I do have big concerns because of the huge percentage of farmland, prime farmland, being lost across our nation. I have been in communications with pro-farmland groups across our nation. This is happening across our nation, the big loss of farmland, and also the aging farmers, those farmers that have the knowledge to pass on to the younger generations. Now, there is a renewed interest in agricultural in the Cato Meridian School District. There are 25 future farmers of America in the Cato School District. And when the school requires children to take an agricultural class, it only seems reasonable that that school district be exempt from solar farms. As the farmers that signed up for the solar farms, they did have the right to farm that land, as that land had been farmed before them. And it really would be considerate to look at the percentages of farmland being lost across the nation and the world, and to look at the knowledgeable farmland or the farmers, and to know that this area here, Cato Meridian School District, has youth interested in producing food and agriculture, and that is very precious. And so also, we host family reunions, Cornell reunions, high school reunions, and those people come back from all over the world. And New York's beauty and the tourism is so important, and the restaurants. They need New York to look beautiful, and it would be one thing if those solar panels were efficient and possibly aesthetically beautiful, but that's not the case. And that's also reasons why we turned it down, because we have seen a pipeline go through near the power lines, and it was a very simple project. They were supposed to take out the bottom soil and put it in a pile and the topsoil put in the other pile. And I'll tell you, I watched that project and it was all screwed up and the soil was not returned to the way it is. Several of those farmers that signed on with NextEra, they know what was done to the soil. Aerial photographs showed the crops did not grow well there. So also, has anybody spoke about the solar windows? What a wonderful company is doing solar windows, and they would be so perfect for the cities. And has anybody else talked to Corning Glass? I've had conversations with Corning Glass. I mean, it's like solar phones. When I started using my cell phone, they were as big as suitcases. Well, I'm so glad we're not using those now. I've been told that solar panels will be obsolete. Has NextEra told you that? They want to grab this money, take it down to Florida, and it's the taxpayers' money. If New York really loved the people in New York, why wouldn't they be putting solar panels on people's properties? What about putting solar panels on parking lots to keep people dry? There's uses for solar panels. That's wonderful, but I would love to invest in solar windows, and I will be continuing talking to Corning Glass. So we have things to think about to make good choices for New York. New York is beautiful. There's wonderful people in New York, and those taxpayers need the best decisions made for our beautiful state. It's not like get some money, grab some money now, and then let the future generations deal with a mess. I thank you. I pray for you to make a good decision and have a beautiful afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your comments. And could you, for the record, spell your last name?
D-A-L. Daly, D-A-L-Y.
Great. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Carol Primrose. Could you please hit *3? Oh, Ms. Daly, could you also hit *3 one more time on your phone so that that'll take down the indication that you are looking to speak? Our next speaker is Carol Primrose. Could you please hit *3 on your phone now?
You've been unmuted. You can speak now. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Carol Primrose, Primrose. I live in the town of Conquest in Port Byron, New York. We would like to thank NextEra for their consideration in regards to proposed Garnet solar energy facility. In this day and age, with concerns over the use of fossil fuels, it seems the ability to tap into clean, renewable solar energy is a logical next step. In 1980, we purchased a small farm in the town of Conquest. Over 42 years, we put every penny we earned back into the land and had the ability to invest in more land. Farming is a 24/7 job. Crops to plant and harvest, animals to care for, machinery and buildings to maintain and upgrade. I believe we have been good stewards of the land. You get what you give. Now a new venture has been presented to us that will secure our future and that of our sons and grandchildren. The town of Conquest will also benefit from this project as a host community. Cato Meridian Central School, Port Byron Central School, and Reedsport Central School districts will see long-term revenue. Also, Cuba County will benefit. A small township in a rural community stands to reap huge benefits using only 6.5% of the farmland, which translates to 0.3% farmland in Cuba County. So little land for such great benefits. Garnet Energy has a potential to create new jobs, long-term revenue, and economic development to Cuba County and the town of Conquest. It will provide income diversity to the farmers involved. We have all worked hard to acquire the land we have and know we have the right to use it as we see fit. I wouldn't presume to tell any farmer how to run his business. I hope the courtesy will be extended to us. Clean, renewable solar energy is in our future. We need to celebrate the past hard work of farmers and embrace the future of farming. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. This is Carol Primrose.
Thank you very much for your comments. That is once through our list of people who pre-registered. Now I'm going to turn back to people who registered and whose names I called but didn't make a statement in case they've joined late or had a technical issue.
Your Honor, is it okay if I
people...
lower the hands that are raised so that we can see the new folks that raised their hands?
Very good point. Anyone who has already spoken, could you please hit *3?
I can lower the hands if you allow me to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All done.
The first person that we called on and we didn't hear from is Stephen Reitz, R-E-I-T-Z. If you're on the phone, could you please hit *3 so that we can identify you and let you make a statement?
I don't see any raised hands, Your Honor, and I also checked the electronic registrants list, and he's not there. That name is not there.
Okay, let's try Dorothy and Matthew Slagle, S-L-E-G-L-E. If you're on the line, please hit *3.
Again, Your Honor, I apologize. I do not see a raised hand, nor do I see them on the electronic list.
Okay, let's try Joseph Verdi again. We show you as participating in the call, but
yeah, he's here.
Yeah, but we haven't been able to hear you. Can you try saying something and making sure that you're unmuted at your end?
Sir, we have two call-in users. One is Joe raised his hand, so we'll open that up for Joe first, or do you want to try the call-in user first? Call-in user might be one of the ones.
Okay, yeah, let's start with Mr. Verdi.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you've been unmuted. Go ahead. Mr. Verdi? Mr. Verdi, your line is muted on your end. Your line is not muted on this end. So there's either, maybe if you turned up the sound on your device, that would also turn up your mic. If you're having difficulty, one of our staff could possibly help you. You could reach them at 1-800-342-3330. That's 1-800-342-3330. I've unmuted him, Your Honor.
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Okay.
Let's go to the call-in user then who
call-in user lowered their hand.
Oh, all right. Then the next person is Joe Bielowitz, B-I-E-L-O-W-I-C-Z. If you're on and would like to make a statement, please hit *3.
Your line has been unmuted.
Hello, this is Joe Vernon.
Oh, hello, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Sorry about that. I'm on digital and on my phone, so.
Good, we can hear you. Go ahead and make your statement.
Okay, this is Joe Verdi, V-E-R-D-I. I'm calling in regards to this project, and I know the state has invested a lot of years and millions of dollars towards green energy, and they've concluded that solar energy is the right solution, and they've chosen to progress forward to help us, move into the next generation. And I feel that it's going to be beneficial for our local community. It's a great green initiative. They're doing it in a lot of other parts of the state, And I think to be involved in it and have it in our area, in our neighborhood here, I think is very important. It's going to bring a huge investment in the construction and labor of the project. It's going to create employment opportunities in the short term and a few in the long term. So I'm in support of the project. I think the impacts definitely, are not that massive where it outweighs the benefit that we're going to have for the decades in our future to come.
Thank you very much for your comments, and I'm glad we finally managed to connect. That concludes the list of people who signed up, but we do have some additional time. I'd like to give people who did not register in advance an opportunity to speak. I'll start with people who are participating electronically. There's a slide that we're showing that you can view electronically. That will show you how to find an icon on your screen that looks a little like a hand, usually around the lower right hand of your screen. You might have to move your cursor around to make it appear. Click on that, and Mr. White from our Consumer Services Office, who, as you can tell, is actually running this meeting, will find you in the participant list, call your name, and unmute you. When he calls your name, then please go ahead and spell your name and make your statement.
No raised hands, Your Honor. Are quite a few call-in users. I can tell you there's at
Yep,
least.
we'll move to the call-in users.
Okay.
So for people who are participating by telephone, who did not register in advance but would like to speak, please press *3 now on your telephone, and we'll find all the people that are requesting to speak. We won't have your names, so there may be several requests at once. Please wait until you hear a beep or you're notified that your line has been unmuted. But if you'd like to speak and you're on the phone, please press *3 now.
We have no raised hands. Not at this time. Again, if you're having difficulty.
I'd like to remind.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead, Mr. White. What was that?
If you're having difficulty, please call 1-800-342-3330, and you can go ahead and do what you were going to do. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, not at all. Let's wait for a minute, and if we don't have any further raised hands, we'll conclude the hearing.
Judge Sayer, this is Maureen Leary. I just want to remind the participants, if you had some difficulty participating this afternoon, we will also have a public statement hearing beginning at 6 p.m. this evening. Feel free to join us then if you were unable to, from a technology standpoint, participate this afternoon. I also have done a few of these, and I can't speak for anyone else on our team, but call-in users seem to have a more difficult time with participation. So if you have a computer, it might assist you. That's not to say that we will not recognize and give you an opportunity to comment if you are a call-in user and cannot access the hearing by electronic means or through a computer. So thank you.
Thank you, Judge Leary. Mr. White, any raised hands at this time?
No, not at all, Your Honor. I don't see any raised hands, but I also wanted to add something to what Judge Leary had said. You can also call that 1-800 line. That's the one we quoted earlier, 1-800-342-3330, anytime during the day. And one of us will get back to you to help you figure out what technological difficulties you may be having. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. White. I want to remind members of the public again that they may submit public comments throughout this proceeding by the other means described earlier and in the notice of the public statement hearing issued on January 12th of this year, and that we request but do not require that you submit your comments by the 1st of May. I'd like to thank the commenters for their participation. I thank Mr. White from our Consumer Services Office for administering this session, my fellow administrative law judges, and our court reporter. This hearing is now concluded. We'll go off the record.
We are off the record.
Thank you. Do
Thank you all
have your
very much.
permission? Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, thank you all very much for participating. Have a safe afternoon, and we can terminate the call at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sangeeta. I'm going to close out the screen now. Thank you, Maureen.